The SCP Foundation is full of both good and evil creatures with immense powers, as depicted in our top 5 God SCPs video. One particular entity stands out, however, namely SCP-343, as the entity claims to have created the entire universe. But is the old man really a god? And if not, what is he really? In this SCP Exploration episode, we explore SCP-343. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel with notifications on, so you don't miss any of our upcoming Exploring SCP videos. And soon we're exploring the identity of another godlike SCP creature. Before we can say whether SCP-343 is a god or not, we first need to define the word god and get a general understanding of what it can and cannot do. Which is why we will take the god from Abrahamic religions as a reference point, due to the vast common knowledge and religious texts about the deity's existence and actions. But firstly, what does the word even mean? Wikipedia defines God as the creator and ruler of the universe and the source of all moral authority. So from this viewpoint, the SCP's claims appear consistent with this definition, as the anomaly insists it created the universe. But we can't limit ourselves to the entity's claims. We also have to consider its actions to see if it possesses the same amount of power, wisdom, and knowledge as the Abrahamic God has. The first thing we would like to mention is the fact that God has displayed his incredible power on more than one occasion in all major Abrahamic religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. The crossing of the Red Sea depicts Moses raising his staff and splitting the Red Sea using the power of God, which allows the Israelis to cross the sea safely, and closes the waters afterwards. Secondly, in all Abrahamic religions, the Great Deluge or the Great Flood is a punishment sent by God to cleanse the world of all sinners, and only Noah and his ark survive. And last but not least, the universe was created by God in the span of a few days, and the world continues on as a result of God's wisdom. So now that we have a clear picture of what a god should look like, based on the world's most popular religions, let's compare this to SCP-343's behavior and actions. We all know what SCP-343 has claimed to be capable of, but what can this entity really do? As stated in its wiki entry, the anomaly was first contained when Foundation staff members witnessed it disappear from a street and reappear on a nearby rooftop, so the entity can teleport. It also changes the style and size of its containment chamber on a regular basis, so SCP-343 is also capable of temporal manipulation. When asked to prove it is the creator of the universe, the self-proclaimed god walked through the wall and returned seconds later with a hamburger, so spatial manipulation and object manifestation are also within its capabilities. And last but not least, security personnel assigned to restrict access to level 4 personnel and above have always quit their posts, saying, "You know he likes company." So SCP-343 is also capable of mental manipulation. But besides these actions, the entity has provided us with no substantial proof to back up its claims. If we compare these demonstrations to God's documented activities in Abrahamic religions, they appear very insignificant. And let's not forget that there is an entire group of SCP anomalies in the SCP Wiki that are just as, if not more capable than SCP-343, called reality benders. Take SCP-3999, for example, an entity that destroyed our reality and rebuilt it around torturing researcher Teleran, an SCP scientist that was unfortunate enough to be assigned to the anomaly, or SCP-3812, which is an anomaly that can not only modify our reality in the same way SCP-343's demonstrated, but can also enter other realities and modify them as well. In comparison to these reality benders, SCP-343 doesn't seem all that powerful. Everything we've seen the old man do can be recreated by any reality bender, not even a very powerful one. But maybe the self-proclaimed God is too humble to demonstrate its full power to us. As stated in the Bible in John 20:29, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." So at this point, we still cannot decisively say whether SCP-343 is a god based on its own capabilities. But what about its behavior? Does it behave the same way as an Abrahamic god would? Let's take a look at the Abrahamic gods' descriptions in religious texts to see what we should be expecting. Firstly, in the Bible, though having claimed he is the creator of the universe and as such is the omniscient deity, God never abused this power or used it to show off. In Matthew 4:3, the devil approaches Jesus, God's manifestation on earth, and tells him, "If you're the Son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread." But Jesus resists the temptation and instead remains humble. To the contrary, SCP-343 claims to be the creator of the universe, and when asked to prove this, pulls off a reality warping trick that, although pretty weak, is supposed to showcase his power. So we see a big difference in behavior right then and there. Secondly, let's take the SCP-343 versus SCP-682 experiment into account. The self-proclaimed God was asked to help the Foundation deal with the very dangerous SCP, and the old man agreed. When SCP-682 was introduced to the testing chamber, the lizard went straight through the old man, and neither noticed anything. And when informed that SCP-682 was in the testing chamber, the old man angrily said that the lizard isn't its creation, and that the SCP agency is to deal with the lizard on its own. As discussed in our SCP-682 origin video, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already, we come to the conclusion that the Scarlet King is the biblical manifestation of the devil in the SCP universe, and that the indestructible lizard, being the Red King's offspring, is a manifestation of the devil. But as we know, God created the entire universe, along with all humans and angels, and it is widely accepted by theologians that Satan is a fallen angel. Therefore, Satan was created by God himself. If SCP-682 is the Scarlet King's offspring, as it is widely accepted, then it should be considered a child of SCP-343, as all children of God's creations are also God's creations. But by saying that SCP-682 is not one of his, the old man implies that the lizard was created by another god. So SCP-343 directly contradicts his statement that he is the creator of the entire universe. Moreover, God was very active in the Bible and often showed love for his creations, anger towards the sinners, and sometimes told people he encountered about how they've fallen short of his standards and how they can get back in his good graces. To the contrary, SCP-343 is willingly contained by the SCP Foundation, so access to the old man is only limited to the Foundation personnel inside that containment facility. If SCP-343 loved all its creations in the same way that God does, and wanted to teach us the way of love and goodness, why would he not allow people to access his teachings by containing himself in the SCP agency, and why would he stay there doing nothing? Once again, not quite the behavior of a true God, creator and lover. And lastly, if we once again turn to the SCP Wiki for information, we see that Dr. Clef's suicide note contains another clue. As we know, Dr. Clef is far from an ordinary Foundation doctor due to his powerful reality warping capabilities, and as such is considered to be somewhat of an SCP himself. And in Clef's suicide note, he claims that the entity that claims to be God, SCP-343, used to walk around containment unhindered, but can't walk around freely anymore, and that he made sure of this. Which implies that Clef, being a reality-bending entity himself, decided that SCP-343 is nothing more than an imposter, and successfully contained the entity. So to sum it up, the old man's capabilities are not only insignificant in comparison to other reality-bending SCP's properties, but its behavior also appears inconsistent with the Abrahamic gods' description and behavior in religion. A good example of what is to be expected from a man that single-handedly created the universe. SCP-343 also contradicts its claim that it created the universe by stating it didn't create SCP-682, and Dr. Clef, who is probably more powerful a reality bender anyway, implies that the old man is an imposter and contains the anomaly. If we assume that SCP-343 didn't create the entire universe and as such shouldn't be considered a god, then what is the old man? Well, as we already said, the entity possesses typical reality bending properties that any normal SCP reality bender has, so the old man doesn't need to be anything special really. A simple creature with a god complex that takes pleasure in having people around him believe that he is the creator. And SCP-343's story, an old man that claims to be the original creator, that willingly falls into our hands, sounds too good to be true anyway. This concludes our Who is SCP-343 video. So what do you think? Is the old man a fake god? Or is he simply too humble to showcase his power? Let us know in the comments below. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, as we have many more interesting SCP theory and top 5 SCP videos coming up, and soon we are exploring the story of another godlike SCP creature. And as always, we will see you in the next video.